Today we're back looking at some of the creepiest stalkers caught on camera.
I have a stalker. This is Neil. Now, Neil is not my only experience with a stalker,
Ooh,
but
look
he
at
definitely was
him.
the scariest, and he taught me the most. Lesson number one that I learned in dealing with Neil is that when you get that feeling about someone, you have got to set a boundary immediately.
Always trust your
Our
gut.
instincts and our intuition are there to protect us, and I waited way too long. There are two reasons why I think I waited. One, I was a branch manager and he was a customer, so I felt like no matter what he said or did, I had to give some sort of service. Couldn't have been further from the truth. The second reason why I feel like I did not set that boundary is really the second lesson that I learned, which is I was viewing Neil as mentally disabled. He is not. He is dangerously mentally ill. My friend is a nurse at Broughton, the mental hospital here in the area, and he was explaining to me that there is such a difference between this mental disability and this mental illness. And people who are dangerously mentally ill, they will push boundaries, they will test you, they will see where your weaknesses are, they are manipulative, they are cunning, and they are so much more intelligent than what we give them credit for. The last lesson I learned is that it is up to us to demand the protection that we need. So in her situation, she needs to be calling law enforcement with every single situation, no matter how big or how small. In my case, it took a sales executive seeing this guy experiencing what I was experiencing, and he was the one that said, absolutely not, you are in danger, this man may kill you, for me to realize that this was a big deal, because I had been gaslighting myself the entire time. So I am very lucky they got me a security guard, they fired him as a customer, and I'm grateful for that, but it should not have gone on as long as it did, and I should have been willing to stand up and say, no, I need protection on this. Bottom line is, do not let these things build up, because they might seem small at first, but it gets bigger and bigger and more dangerous as time goes on.
What I'm getting from that is that you should always trust your gut. No matter what your brain is telling you, if you get a weird feeling in your gut, always trust it. Huge deal. The minute someone makes you feel uncomfortable, throw up your flag. I can understand the whole bit about him maybe being mentally disabled or mentally ill, why you might sort of ignore the red flags. However, that's the wrong thing to do. You should actually be more conscious about the way they might act if they are mentally ill. And also, it's the fact that he looked that way. Like, I don't even want to look at him again. He's so freaky looking. I had a stalker when I worked at Dunkin', and a lot of the guys who worked there thought it was so funny that he was harassing me and that I was scared. It's funny to them until they have to deal with it. You know, people laugh at stuff like that and then it happens to them. It kind of reminds me a lot about politics. You know how certain politicians put policies forward? They'll put loads of policies forward and they don't realize that actually affects people. Yet whenever a bad policy gets put forward and it affects them, they want to change it. I feel like a lot of them guys are like that. You know, they laugh at it, but then whenever it happens to them, they won't be laughing. I think it's well that certain people have more than one stalker in their life and most people don't have any. I mean, the thing is, you don't know if you've got a stalker. You might have one. It might be a silent stalker. You don't even know you've got it. And then yet again, like, I do know people who have got stalked. You know, some people just have really bad luck. Like, they just come across weird people. Like, weird people are weirdly attracted to them. People get stalked for many different reasons. However, a lot of my friends who've got stalked in the past got stalked because they were too nice. You know, they were nice to someone, they smiled, they looked pretty, you know, they looked, you know, approachable. And then their approachability wasn't a blessing in disguise. It was the worst thing they could ever have. Do you mind me asking what kind of things he did? Okay, and it looks like we're actually gonna see. Let's see what this creepy man done to this woman.
First things first, when I tell you some of the stuff he did, you are going to be wondering why I did not report him sooner. I don't know why I didn't report him sooner, because when I go back through and think about all of the things that he did, when you're in the middle of it, you really don't think about how crazy everything is.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us can relate to a situation like that where, you know, like, we look back in situations we've been in and we're like, what were we thinking? Whether that's us being friends with someone, doing something, talking to someone. You know, we've all been in a situation where we look back at an event that happened in our life and we think, you know, what was I thinking during that moment? Like, what was I literally doing?
And by the way, as maybe off-putting as his presentation is in that picture, his demeanor in person is downright disturbing. He always has ripped up clothes. He's usually covered in feces. His hair is crazy. It is not a comfortable situation to be in. And he had a roommate, which at the time I thought was really great. When I first met them, I thought, wow, they depend on each other. They take care of each other. That's great. Unless you're wanting to do something bad. And later on, something that would make me very uncomfortable was that the roommate would be there kind of cornering me with him. What started off
they're
was
working
him
together.
trying to unalive himself and coming in there with bandages and trying to talk with me. He told me about how he was in love with this nurse that he saw at the hospital. but that she broke his heart and he wanted me to pray with him. So I did. From that moment on, he started coming into the branch. Instead of once a month, he was coming 2 times a month and then 4 times a month. And then it got to be to the point that he was coming almost every single day. And it started out with, hey, will you pray with me? Hey, I'm having a bad day. Will you talk to me? And of course, I always did. Then he started peppering in really comments. And I don't know why I didn't handle it better. I honestly was always shocked and just acted like I didn't hear them. He started saying very things to me about me that he wanted to do to me. Then some of the things that he would say became kind of violent things that he wanted to do to me. And keep in mind, the situation would change every time he was saying something else or trying to do something else. Sometimes he was demanding to see me in my office. Sometimes he would kind of corner me in the lobby. Even in front of people, he would make comments just under his breath where only I could hear him, and he would get really close to me. And then about the roommate that I mentioned, that roommate, it seemed like, would always either be behind me or in front of me or blocking my way. They're working together. Blocking the door in my office. It was very uncomfortable. Then when we started restricting his access to me and me not being available, he started becoming violent and aggressive. And it was when he was aggressive with that sales exec that the sales exec was like, absolutely not. We have to do something about this.
Yeah, so basically what I'm getting from that is that you do not ignore the red flags. You know, if you ever get a weird gut feeling about someone trusted, because what happened to her could happen to you and much worse. Some people don't understand that people go through fight, flight, or freeze in uncomfortable situations, sometimes to prevent things from getting worse. Exactly, you know, I always hate whenever I see comments of people saying, oh, you know, run away. If you're in a situation and you don't know how to react, you most likely will either fight, flight, or freeze. And I would say most people freeze. I just can't stand comments like that. Like, I always see like stuff going on online. People are like, you know, why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you run, etc. And it's like, how are they supposed to know how to react in a situation like that? I find it really strange it would be acceptable to pray for the customer while at work. Glad he was removed as a customer eventually. It probably wasn't, you know, she probably wasn't really meant to do that. She just done it out of the kindness of her heart. And that's the issue, you know, the fact that she was too nice to him and ignored the red flag. It basically ended up with him spiraling. I think denial plays a huge role. I had a man breaking into my apartment and I was apologizing to him and called the police non-emergency line. We've all been in a situation like that where someone does something to you and the first thing you do is apologize to them. It's like, why are you apologizing? You know, there's been times where people bumped into me and I've said, oh, sorry. But it's like, why am I apologizing? They bumped into me. I didn't bump into them.
This woman is frozen in fear. She cannot leave.
Oh, I don't like that.
Because she's afraid of what might happen if she does. Men, we have to stop doing this. Women deserve to live their lives without something like this happening. They deserve to go get coffee or lunch without being in fear. They deserve to sit by themselves in a corner of a restaurant without some man staring at her, waiting for her to get up and leave. Get a hold of yourselves. Just get a hold of yourselves. Just stop.
I'm gonna be completely honest, I can't tell if that man was perving her or if he was on drugs or doing a bit of both. It looks like she was sat there studying her homework and he's walked up and he started biting his hand. Yell at him for staring, draw attention to him, make a scene. This is exactly what I was talking about, you know, in the last video, about freeze, fight, or flight. This person's basically saying, you know, you need to be loud and fight against it. However, she obviously didn't react like that. She most likely froze and decided to start filming him because she didn't know what to do. Comments like that really annoy him because, like, you can literally yell at him all you want, but, like, that ain't gonna stop him. If anything, that can make the situation go worse. Why is he biting his arm? I mean, I don't know. Like, he's biting his arms and his fingers and I don't know. It's just one of them videos where it makes you uncomfortable. Everyone's saying just call 911. What's a cop gonna do? Arrest him for staring at her? Unless he does something to her, she can. Exactly, and that's the thing. You know, even if she went to call the police, what happens if he tried to grab the phone and hurt her? People don't think about these situations and how you should react because there is no right reason. If you freeze, he might continue doing it. If you run away, he might follow you. If you try to fight him, he might fight you back. It's just terrifying that, like, you know, whenever women are out and about, they don't know what what men are good men and what men are bad men. Obviously, there's a lot of good men, but there's also a lot of bad men. The issue is the majority of women have had bad experiences with men. If you line up 100 men, 99.9% of them might be nice. There might be one bad one. However, the girl doesn't know that, hence why she'll look at every man and think that he's a bad one. People like that just need to be put into jail. Like, it's not normal, it's weird, it's also just dangerous and creepy.
2017, Jerome Kennedy heard strange noises coming from the ceiling of his bedroom at night, and suspecting that someone might be up there or in the attic above him, he installed a security camera.
Who's it gonna be?
The recording shows a man, later recognized by Jerome as his neighbor, crawling around in the attic with a drill and a torch. He then lies on a vent that overlooks Jerome's bed and his daughter's crib and looks at them for about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, so I was thinking that neighbor was going to be watching the dad. He's watching the daughter in the crib. That right there is weird and is not normal. What happened after he got arrested? Yeah, thank God. Could you imagine your neighbors watching your young daughter through, like, the ceiling? I always hear my ceiling creaking. Now I'm going to be thinking someone's going to be watching me for a crack in the ceiling. Well, now I'm scared that someone is watching me in my house. Honestly, that's how I feel 24/7 whenever I'm home alone. Like, the other day, one of my windows was open and a door downstairs slammed. Keep in mind, I was home alone, like, who is slamming doors? Because it wasn't me, and there was no one in my house. It was the wind, but I didn't know that. But could you actually imagine going for a situation like that where you hear noises, you put a camera in, and then you see your neighbor watching your daughter through the ceiling? Oh, it just makes you feel sick. Stalker dies inside several times after his victim escapes and he realizes he's been caught on camera. Oh. That is terrifying. Like, actually terrifying. Like, he's trying to break into the house. And now he's starting to freak out because he's been caught on camera as well. What is going on with people? Like, why are people doing this? Oh, and he's got a weapon. Nah, I'm so sorry, that ending is not stalking, that is attempted murder. That man was not stalking a woman, he was stalking a woman to then go and murder her. From linked article below, he was sentenced to 3 years and 1 month in jail, including 24 weeks for breaching a suspended sentence order from a previous assault in December last year. Not his first time, likely not his last either. So he obviously has a history. Nah, I'm so sorry, that right there is not good. That man is gonna murder somebody someday. And it's the fact that we've got proof that he's like that, yeah, he's gonna get let out of jail eventually. Oh, he doesn't die inside. He randomly attacked a woman, chased her into this random person's house. Thank God they let her in. And then when they called their family to help this man attack them too, 2 people were hospitalized. Thank God this piece of crap was caught and locked up. He wasn't locked up for long though. Like, I don't think people understand 4 years really isn't that long. It might seem long to us, but eventually he's gonna be out. And yet again, like, he probably is gonna offend again. You know, apparently he had hurt someone like in the December beforehand. That right there is a murderer. Like, that guy is gonna take someone's life eventually.
Okay, we have to find this guy. He is in Burbank, California. You're not going to believe what he was caught on camera doing, and there's actually more to the story, but let me show you this video first, and then I'll come back.
I was in this corner for a while, and I noticed the guy was staring at me through that little hole, and I couldn't tell if I was being paranoid or if he was just reading a book, and he just happened to be in that little corner. Anyways, it felt like anywhere I moved, he kept following me. So I recorded just in case he was trying to say anything or do anything to me. But I definitely didn't expect him to do this. Like, what the actual...
Is he
And the whole
sniffing
time
you?
I'm thinking I'm fine because he hasn't said anything or touched me or anything. But then you notice that he goes over and does the same thing to this girl. And he'll crouch down low and pretend like he's doing something and then smell? I don't know. And the whole time I'm wondering why he's always around me. But this was our interaction.
What are you doing?
Not only that, but this guy's been charged for breaking into women's homes in the middle of the night. Tizzy did a great job breaking down everything this guy is wanted for. Here is a picture of him.
She identified him through his earlobes and his face tattoo.
What's frustrating is the hate comments that this woman is getting.
Reading the comments on my last video has really made me
Yeah,
sick,
they're just blaming
honestly.
you for no
I've
reason.
tagged her in this video because she provides several updates. But according to what I can find out, this guy is on the loose in Burbank, California. So be on the lookout for this guy. And go support this lady. Show her some love. Because some of you aren't being very nice to her at all.
Wait a minute, so they're just gonna drop the bomb that he's wanted and he's on the run. And yet again, I find it so interesting how a woman can go to a bookstore, literally get sniffed by a random man who's a history of breaking into people's apartments. Keep in mind, he sniffed 2 women in that video, and yet people still blame her. It's terrifying, like it genuinely is terrifying. Why is this man breaking into people's apartments and sniffing women? This cannot be real. Honestly, at this point, I want to laugh because it's so unbelievably shocking. But for a lot of women, it's reality. It is insane the world we live in. Nobody deserves to experience anything like this. I mean, a lot of people experience stuff like that, you know, and it's not good. I think we've all had an experience where it's like, oh, like it genuinely just makes you actually feel disgusted. That is genuinely bizarre. Like the fact he went up and sniffed her. This is more than insane. I mean, it's illegal and thank God he got a mugshot taken, but then he's on the run. So if you live in the area that guy was talking about, please lock your doors and your windows. And if you're a woman, don't leave your house because like that man is literally out in the run and he's sniffing people. Well, anyways, guys, that's some creepy stalkers caught on camera. If you see me looking more creepy stalkers, let me know definitely well. Press back, subscribe, and see you all tomorrow for another video.